Professor Charles Adjasi, University of Stellenbosch Business School, Economics and Management Sciences. Explain. It's an interesting title.
Well, the University of Stellenbosch Business School is a school within the Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences. So, and the Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences is it's the biggest faculty in Stellenbosch, but it houses disciplines within economics, management, accounting, and to an extent development studies. So that's the link.
How do you equate Black Africa with Europe?
With Europe, yeah. So interesting question. Two answers to that. The first one is based on history. So as the colonial past, you know, where Black Africa, you know, sort of thought of Europe as almost like dark ages, you know, nothing much was happening, and then we had Europeans come to visit, and so there was the way they sort of like they ruled Africa back then wasn't too pleasant, and then we fought for independence and we got independence. And that's one answer, which is an old answer which you would get from usually you would get from your fathers, and you know, and then you get another side of the story which you'd get from the younger folk, and interestingly, the older folk as well would say, well, we went all wrong, you know, and today, you know, we have to partner Europe. We have to be smart to partner Europe. Otherwise, what we are seeing now is because we took rash decisions. And Europe now, you know, you have to be careful when you're blaming Europe. It's almost like saying, be careful what you say now. You know, so the first answer we gave, which is, oh, well, they weren't nice, they came, and you can't say that anymore because we took over, and what did we do? We haven't really done that much, you know, I mean, as good as we thought we would do. So the answer is, you know, it's two-pronged. It's almost like Europe, we must look up to you know, how we partner with Europe now, rather than look at Europe in a different sense.
But now we go a step further, because you've asked that, where does South Africa really fit in that equation? Because it now wants to partner with China.
Oh, well, and the rest of Africa is also partnering with with China.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So where does that equation go now?
Well, in the case of South Africa, I think it's a different kind of story, because I would say South Africa is now quite unique or different from the rest of Africa, in the sense that you can't give the second answer. You know, the way I give the answer for Black, you know, Africa, you can't give the second answer anymore, because South Africa is now you know, it's a mixture of colors, you know, and Europe is in South Africa, if I can put it that way. So you can't actually talk a lot about relationship with Europe, no. And interestingly, there's a view out there that, well, South Africa now has to be careful in the way it deals with the rest of Africa. Otherwise, the rest of Africa might just see South Africa as another Europe, which is, you know, another way to view South Africa, you know, in here. But to link it to China, the rest of Africa has been with China for a while, for certain reasons, you know, which part of it is China's own interest in Africa. And South Africa's interest in China is also quite, you know, interesting if you take it from the rest of Africa, because you don't quite seem to see the connect. Well, of course, if you're sitting outside South Africa, you don't see how South Africa is linked to China. You would think that South Africa will not be linked to China, because from the rest of Africa, it's more about, well, there's oil, there's gold, there's platinum, you know, and coal. China wants that, and then the rest of the continent needs infrastructure.
But just to interrupt you, what is the difference then between the Europeans who came here and wanted all those assets and the Chinese who are coming here and want all those assets?
Yeah, in the case of the Europeans, well, the difference between the two, I would say, is that the Africans now, that's the leaders in Africa now, are looking at China in a different way. They're looking for development aid from China. And the Chinese seem to say, well, if that's what you want, we can have a sort of like a barter, if I can call it that. Okay, we can bring our companies, or we can bring financing for you. We can give you finance to finance your infrastructure, your roads, you know, your...
But don't they end up owning?
Now that's where it's let me sort of put it back this way. They end up owning part of it. They end up, you know, sort of getting into the economy or getting into the local economy. But from the side of the leaders, that looks like a fair deal, in quotes, in the sense that, well, now we know that we must ask for something in return. And we are getting something in return. As compared to the past, where it was more like we didn't really know what to ask for. And not much was given. That's what we thought. Not much was given, and we didn't. So it was like there was plundering most of the time. But now we know what to ask for. As to whether they're asking for the right kind of things in the right ways, that's another story altogether. Yeah.
Let's change tack a bit. What lessons can we learn from the Brazilian bank, Banco BTG Pactual's? They announced a heavy spending on the African continent. Yeah, what lessons can we learn from that?
That bank has been very innovative in the way it's dealt with financing development in Brazil and financing small enterprises in Brazil. It's used very innovative. By the way, Brazil, South America has parts of South American, you know, economy and societies same as African fabric, economic fabric. And they've learned how to deal with extending financing for investment purposes to small enterprises. They've grown small enterprises. And that's how they've become so strong and big to be able to now move out of South America to say we are coming into Africa, because they can see potential in Africa. But there is huge potential in Africa. And because they understand the terrain in terms of how to, you know, finance investment in such difficult terrains. They've learned how to structure nice products to feed into an investment deal and get returns. Now, for us in Africa, it means we necessarily must equip our financial institutions, or our institutions which provide finance, with the know-how and I would say the sort of the legal backing to make them strong enough to be innovative without getting into problems.
Finally, just to wrap things up, how do you see the future in the short, medium and long term for South Africa in the economic and management science field?
Short term, we're going to see a lot more of debates about economic decisions and business decisions and investment decisions. We're going to see a lot of debate both on the government side and even on the private side. And the reason is that we're going to have a lot more graduates churned out with such degrees, and they're going to be asking questions, especially with the way they're being trained. They're going to be asking lots of questions. So short, that's really going to flood, South Africa is going to be all over the place. You'd hear people questioning decisions. Medium to long term, it's a bit tricky here. If that questioning is, seen to be a positive side of things, if it's embraced very well, medium to long term, South Africa is, well, it's already on, like I did say, it's an outlier, which is completely out of the African space. It's going to be a bigger outlier in this, well, maybe not a bigger outlier. It's going to be leading the growth and development of the rest of the continent, because then once the questions that are being asked are seen as justifiable, to be asked, then policies are going to change. Then businesses are going to be more comfortable to do business. Then we are not going to be having sad situations which have been occurring, and people ask, but why didn't anybody ask a question? So that is going to change, and we're going to be seeing, for instance, a bank or more businesses out of South Africa going into the rest of Africa and even Asia or South America to lead business you know, growth and development. But like I said, it must be accepted. If it's not accepted, then I think it's probably going to go the other way.
I'm just going to finally say this. There is a school of thought that the ANC stopped listening to its intelligentsia. What you're proposing now is a creation of the new intelligentsia, which the ANC or the government of the day, whichever it may be, should now listen to. To make it honest.
Yeah. You should listen to. It's very important that you listen to the intelligentsia. Whichever government it is that is there must listen to the intelligentsia. Because, and here, these are mostly going to be people who are thinking objectively through, you know, the challenges of the economy or the country. And they're thinking very objective now. And it's important to listen to them. And they're thinking objective, and they're giving possible solutions or options. And they're telling you what the pros and cons are of each option. And it's important to listen to such people, because then that guides you in formulating a policy. Because ultimately, we're all talking about upliftment of society, reaching out to the bottom, those who are at the bottom. And those who are at the bottom are preoccupied with, you know, daily challenges. Where am I going to get food from tomorrow? I mean, how am I going to feed the rest of the family? How am I going to deal with an illness that I've got? They're preoccupied with that. The intelligentsia, or the guys you're going to create with, you know, questioning mind, are going to be questioning why you want to go this route and not the other route. And that is what you need to help you, you know, to implement the right policy.